The Dolphin's Bride. One day there came through the woods that bordered on a big ocean a poor little beggar girl named Nita. Nita was crying. She was hungry, and she did not know where to go. For her aunt, who had a daughter of her own, did not want to support Nita, and had turned her out of doors that very day. "I am too poor to support you," said the hard-hearted aunt. "You must take care of yourself." Nita's father and mother were dead, and there seemed to be no place for her but the woods. So she wandered along until she came to the ocean. There she sat down to cry out her grief. While she was crying, a big dolphin poked his head out of the water. "What are you crying for, little girl?" he asked. Nita was so surprised to hear the dolphin speak that she stopped crying at once. "I am crying because I have no home," she replied. "I will give you a home if you will come with me," said the dolphin. "I need someone to take care of my house." "But I cannot live in the water. I should drown," said Nita. "I would not ask you to come if you would drown," answered the dolphin. "But you must decide for yourself whether you could keep house for a fish. There are no children to play with at the bottom of the ocean." "I shall starve if I stay on land, and I may find a good home," thought Nita as the dolphin waited for his answer. "I'll go with you," she said. "Then jump on my back," said the dolphin, "and close your eyes. There's nothing to fear, I promise you that." Nita jumped on his back and closed her eyes. Over the waves they went. Then suddenly Nita felt the dolphin plunge under the water, and down, down they went. And the next thing she knew, the dolphin stopped and said, "Here we are." Nita opened her eyes, and instead of being in the water, as she thought, she was in a beautiful garden in front of a beautiful house. Up the steps the dolphin flopped, for, of course, he could not walk, having no feet, and Nita followed him. He led her into a big hall hung with beautiful pictures and soft carpets upon the floor, upon which Nita was almost afraid to step. Nita almost forgot her queer companion. She was so overcome with all the grandeur she beheld. On both sides of the long hall were many rooms, one of gold, one of silver, one of marble, and the dolphin told Nita she was to choose which room she would care to have for her own. "But you said I was to keep your house," said Nita. "A servant cannot live in one of these beautiful rooms." "I did not say I wanted you to be a servant," said the dolphin. "I want someone to live here and care for the house, but not to do the work." Nita chose a beautiful room, hung in blue silk, with chairs of blue damask in beautiful rosewood frames. The ceiling was a darker blue, and all over it were dotted diamonds that twinkled like stars. The floor was covered with a blue velvet carpet, soft and thick, and over it were scattered big pink roses, which looked as if they would crush when stepped upon. They seemed so natural. There was a piano of rosewood at one end of the room, and upon this Nita was surprised to see the dolphin jump and with its fins begin to play. Music such as Nita never heard came from the keys, and so enchanted was she that when the dolphin stopped playing, Nita ran to him and put her hand upon his head. "You poor fish," she said. "It is too bad you are not a man. I wish I were a fairy and could change you into a prince. This place is far too beautiful for a fish to live in. And besides, you play such wonderful music. How is it possible?" "There is only one way you can help me, and since you wish to be a fairy and change me into a prince," said the dolphin, "I will see if you will keep your word. Look behind the door and bring the sword you will find there, and I will tell you the only way I can be freed from the spell of a witch who hates me." From behind the door Nida brought the sword. She found it had a beautiful handle of gold, and set with diamonds and pearls, but the blade looked sharp and pointed, and Nida trembled as she held it. "Now, if you really are sorry for me," said the Dolphin, "and wish to make me a prince, strike off my head." Nida dropped the sword at the very thought of anything so terrible. "I cannot do that," she said. "You have been too kind to me." "That is the only way you can repay me," said the Dolphin, with a sigh. "I see you did not mean what you said about wishing to be a fairy." "Oh, yes, I do. Indeed I do," said Nida. "I do not want to kill you, but I will put you out of misery if that is what you want." She picked up the sword and swung it over her head. Then she looked at the Dolphin, closed her eyes, and brought down the sword. As it fell, Nida felt herself slipping away, it seemed to her, into the bottom of the ocean. When she opened her eyes, she saw a very handsome man bending over her. "You are a brave girl," he said. "You have saved me from a terrible fate." "Where is the good Dolphin?" asked Nida. "Oh, I will never forgive myself for killing him." "He is gone forever. I was the poor Dolphin," said the handsome man at her side. "You broke the spell that held me, for the old witch who changed me into the Dolphin said I must remain one until a pretty woman should strike off my head." "Why should a witch change you into a fish?" asked Nida. "Because I would not marry her daughter and make her a princess," replied the handsome man. "You see, I am a prince, and I was waiting for the girl I could love to appear before I would take my princess. And now I have found her. Will you become my princess?" Nita was already in love with the handsome man who had fallen in love with her, and so they were married that very day in the wonderful castle of beautiful rooms, and lived happily ever after.